Bella, everybody, bienvenidos. Welcome back to the one, the only knee-slapping K-pop podcast. And girl, by the time this is released, it will be my fucking birthday. Party, celebrate. Yes, it'll be fun. Anyways, I am here, it is your girl Maria, and I am here with Kayla.
Hello.
And Sammi.
Hello.
Party. And we are here to have a really fun topic to conclude Hybe Labels 2 weeks in April. Yes, was supposed to be month, now it's just April, but don't be mistaken, this won't be the last time we talk about Hybe. But we decided to keep it fun, light, and easy for this kind of birthday video. And today, we're just going to be talking about unpopular opinions, Hybe edition, but specifically, opinions taken from the subreddit, Unpopular Kpop Opinions. So yes, this will be a time.
Yes.
This will be very fun.
Because there are some interesting opinions.
There's some wild.
There's just a lot of takes.
There's a lot of takes. So many of those takes are the same take.
A lot of them are the same take. Yes.
Yes.
So we did try to we are keeping it to one take per take topic, if you will, because I don't need 18 takes that say that BTS was better 10 years ago. Shut the fuck up.
Hasn't even been 10.
It hasn't even been 10 years, and yet somehow they were the better 10 years.
I'm sure
ago.
someone has that opinion out there.
Someone does. All right. So we have a group of these here. We will be going around, each reading a take, and then talking about that take.
Yes.
Essentially, we're not going to be reading the full take.
We
will just be
many
summarizing.
paragraphs.
Some of these are like essays, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
Some people have a lot of opinions.
Yes, they have a lot of thoughts. And then the chats below them get petty as fuck sometimes. My god.
They really do.
Some of y'all on Reddit be wilding out, I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, we will sometimes be going into the chat and the comments. Many a times I will not be involving myself in that.
God, some of y'all be wilding out.
Yes. Some of y'all do be wilding out.
Y'all need more schooling. No, I'm kidding.
All right. So who wants to go first? Who wants to read the first one? Kayla?
Sure.
Right?
So I found this one. I found it very funny immediately from the title of the ones Maria got for us. And it is Yeonjun from TXT is gonna end up being the Cha Eun-woo of his group.
I have so many opinions
you read that sentence and you really try to understand what they mean by that. So essentially the post has a lot of words. It essentially just goes on to summarize all of Yeonjun's specific individual activities. A lot of them are him doing a lot of fashion related stuff, being a brand ambassador, being on a magazine cover shoots and stuff like that. Essentially just list all of that. And then at the end says that they say they're going to be the Cha Eun-woo because Eun-woo also started off smaller, like Eunju doing small activities, solo stuff here and there, being an MC, getting the brand deals. And then he got more known. But then they make the two caveats that I don't see him being an actor, which is kind of like the big Cha Eun-woo
thing. The entire thing that Cha Eun-woo does.
Yeah. That's kind of like what being Cha Eun-woo is an actor. And then they also say that Hybe doesn't send individual TXT members on a lot of variety shows or other stuff, but they feel that if Yeonju were to get more popular, they could see shows requesting him. And I feel like the big downside to this post is Cha Eun-woo is an actor. He's one of the most well-known famous idol actors, and Yeonju from TXT is not going to be an actor.
That's
what we
the
know
big
of,
thing
at
with
least
Cha
right now.
Eun-woo.
He's not gonna
No, he seems to have no interest in acting whatsoever, has never been an actor, has never stated anywhere that he wants to be an actor, none of it.
The only actors I'm aware of from Hybe have been probably
V and Jin.
And
V
that's
and Jin,
BTS,
honestly.
So...
And that's BTS. And I can see them getting maybe some Hype boys. The TXT boys seem to have no interest in it whatsoever. My thing with this
the other big thing that's a point of disagreement here, I see a lot in the comments, is that also when you refer to someone being a Cha Eun-woo, it is meaning you are the face of the group. And for a lot of times when people look at Astro, there's a significant gap in popularity from Unwoo to the rest of the group, and that is very true. I don't see that happening to a member of TXT where there's that large of a popularity.
Honestly, if I were to say that about anybody in terms of the face of the group, it's to a much lesser extent, but I would not say it's Subin more than
way more than Yeonjun, yeah.
It's Subin,
yeah,
and also,
even then,
I think
Subin
the thing
stand
with
out,
but there to be that big of a popularity
I don't think people
gap.
realize about Cha Eun-woo. Cha Eun-woo, while being the face of Astro to an international audience, to a Korean audience, is Astro. And two, you have to think of it that he is essentially an extremely famous person in Korea to your average Korean person. He does 1 million brand deals. He's in show upon show upon show. Extremely popular. Being a Cha Eun-woo is not even just rare for an idol, it's rare for an actor.
Yeah.
He is very good at his job. Like, I also want to point out
it's just that is, like, specifically the Cha Eun-woo, I think, is the problem. It's like, if there's probably a better person to compare what this person is thinking of than Cha Eun-woo. Yeah.
Yeah, and also the fact that I agree with this person greatly that said being the most popular member does not equal being the Cha Eun-woo.
Yes, 100%.
Cha Eun-woo is a very specific situation.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
I feel like this person might be thinking maybe that they're, and I'm comparing them to another actor, maybe the Rowoon.
Yeah, like the
not,
face.
I don't even think that's a close comparison.
I don't think it is, but I think it's closer than the Cha Eun-woo.
Yeah.
I don't know who realistically speaking, maybe we're thinking, like, I don't even know who this person would be thinking of. Possibly Cha Eun-woo, just because they're the most, like, in terms of popularity to other members of their group, they are it's that kind of situation. But realistically speaking, it makes no sense.
It doesn't. And I really think it's just the Cha Eun-woo specifically that's a bad person to compare.
It's such a particular opinion.
But it's also such a particular person.
Yeah.
Like, Cha Eun-woo created this whole thing from not being an idol. It's from him being an actor.
Pretty
much,
who
I can see this being more of a comparison or something. If you want to, like, compare him to, like, I don't, like, Irene or Susie or someone who does, like, mainly, like, brand deals and modeling,
not so
and
much
stuff.
acting.
Yeah,
well,
like,
IU does a little bit of acting here and there.
Irene?
I'm sorry. Oh no, IU. I thought you said IU.
No, Irene.
Oh yeah,
IU was never in a group to compare her.
I was about to say, I was like very confused. I'm like, IU. Okay, never mind. Irene.
Yeah, I mean, I see people in here coming up with other people that this could be true for, but none of them have done acting yet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People keep bringing up Sunghoon, and Sunghoon, I don't know if he can act. From Hyben, and I'm like, I don't know if that's an actor.
It's like we only got Sunghoon figure skating. That's really the only only thing we got
Sunghoon,
on Sunghoon.
honestly,
until Sunghoon decides to acting and is popular with acting.
It's still too early for that.
Yeah, exactly.
For Hyben, it's early. Yeah.
Yeah, but realistically speaking, I don't see him being that.
Yeah.
I can see him maybe even doing like a King Daniel 101 situation,
right?
If that. But even then, I don't think the disparity in popularity
is not enough within any other members of TXT. I
would be interested to see who from TXT gets a solo first. I feel like it would
also
be Yeonjun,
feel like Yeonjun specifically has his popularity overestimated in the international K-pop fandom in comparison to his popularity in Korea.
Within the Korean fandom, I do believe it's more of a Subin situation. Yeah. And I also do think, to an extent in the international fandom, it is also Subin.
True. I also think that.
I think that in both it is Subin, and I do think Yeonjun, while close, is a little overestimated just because he does get a lot of those opportunities. But that is also because Yeonjun is far more outgoing than Subin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Subin like gives off more shy
Subin's
vibes.
a very sweet boy. I love him.
Mm-hmm.
But he is not he's an introvert.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He seems like an introvert. All right, so shall we go to our second unpopular
opinion?
All right. I want to talk about this one because technically this is the only one on here that has quote-unquote been deleted.
Uh-huh.
Everything else, at least at the moment that we're recording this, is there.
Yes.
But we have gotten the context of this. We did read it when it was out, and I want to talk about it because there are very few and team opinions on this subreddit.
Mm-hmm.
So is what Hybe is doing will hurt and team as a group in the long run. And that is the fact that essentially they're saying that debuting and team as a Japanese group and not a K-pop group will hurt them in the long run. And here, as the two online experts of the KJ-pop experts, I think we can say
Not
experts.
Me.
We coined
Not
that
me,
term before that was a thing.
Yeah.
We coined this term.
We did.
This is our
We did.
term.
It's not your
experts.
term until you copyright it, you know that. Or put in a patent for it.
Hey, I would like to say that we were probably the first people online to use it.
I'm kidding. I'm shitting on you. We probably are one of the first people to say this term.
We are one of the. I genuinely believe we are some of the first people to notice this occurrence.
Notice it, but also have talked about it.
And also have publicly talked about it.
Yeah.
Yes, but realistically speaking, like I'm very curious to the specific points here were interesting because this group is its own group. This group is targeting a Japanese market. That group has maybe, I believe, only one Korean in it.
One Korean and I think one Taiwanese
Korean.
member, and then everyone else is Japanese.
One Taiwanese member, and both of those members came from Island. They are not kids that were on the show. All the kids that made it into the group from that show were all Japanese.
Well, one of them is, I think, one of the Japanese kids is also German, I think, but I don't know if it's German.
Yes, but I'm talking in terms of his ethnicity-wise. He is not Korean.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like they're not out here putting. There were Koreans on that show. He is Japanese though.
Yeah.
The only Korean in there is EJ. And
he was Island, so
he's Island, so he's not even in that.
I think another part of this post is also them not liking the brother group concept and Hype-in, because I think they think that it makes Team look as just like an extension of Hype-in.
I can see that, but I also see that as being.
I just see them also as their own separate thing too as well. I don't really see the connection.
I see
besides
that
the Hybe
as
connection.
being a very debut era specific thing.
Because they are
no
clearly
escaping from being
doing
from Island.
the vampire werewolf
concept.
Like there's a very clear connection between the two groups right now, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's kind of fun. A lot of these kids were on the same survival show together.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people also talking
cute.
about that they didn't like that they performed into the island with Hype-in.
Right.
And well, I can see that as if we continue to do this, but that was a one-off thing. Two, these kids are friends. They are going to interact a lot. They're very same age groups.
A lot of them with a very traumatic experience together.
They went through a traumatic experience
that
together.
Too, as well.
They know each other.
Let's be real. Survivor shows are very they get you in the field.
Specifically, Island was very traumatizing.
Yeah.
Specifically, Island was very traumatizing.
Island, yeah. This Japanese show, the And Audition show,
And Audition, very sweet.
Yeah.
Very nice. Good time. Only became traumatizing right at the end.
Which is like fair though, because like it's find out who actually did the group.
I also do think that the Japanese market, if they can get a foothold, which again, the problem with being a J-pop group in that way is that in terms of boy groups, J-pop is a monopoly. Oh, we know about that monopoly, don't we?
The Johnnies and the Exile.
The Johnnies and all of that is one company. That is essentially where most boy groups.
But Exile's a different company, isn't it?
They're all kind of in a similar like conglomerate situation.
Isn't there a company called Late One too, or am I thinking that out of my ass? Wake One? Is it Wake One?
What was that?
No, Wake One's the company that does that has all of it's CJ&M.
Oh no, like whoever does Produce Japan, the companies that own Produce Japan.
That's
group.
Lapone.
Oh, Lapone. There we go.
That's Lapone. But
Sorry,
also Lapone only has about 4 groups.
Okay, yeah.
Lapone is not the main player here in the J-pop
I think
sphere.
now has debuted one group that is not made on a Produce season, so
but still has
many kids
ties.
who were on Produce.
Many children. Yeah, that's DX team.
Yep.
Did like their debut. Would recommend in terms of the
yes
KJ pop of it all. But I do think that Japan is a market that can be tapped, and also I do think that it is good for them to be in a market that, like, do try to crush a monopoly that everyone else has on there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for at least male idol
exile
groups.
tribes.
Yeah, for at least male idol groups, crush that monopoly a little bit. Make them a little bit
because,
scared.
like, the first ones really was Lapone. Lapone did start bringing out with JO1.
Lapone,
and then
I think,
does
is
start
the
be there.
really only company who has a chance of breaking into the mainstream J-pop boy group outside of, like, Exile and Johnny's. They're the only, because I think they have the
produced
produced
really
stuff.
a monopoly situation.
It's also, if you look in the background of that company, really bad stuff is going on there. So
recently,
there's a lot of
there's some things that were discovered about the founder of Johnny's that's like really bad
also
stuff.
kind of not surprising things, to be honest.
Unfortunately,
they're not surprising in any capacity.
It's unfortunately not surprising, but it's still fucked up either way. But like, you know.
But realistically speaking, I do think that it is good to try this in a different market.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think that possibly making Anne's team a K-pop group would have possibly made them more popular? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe. Like, that is a very specific situation, because then you're also dealing with, okay, so we're making a K-pop group out of a group that is 6/7 Japanese?
And then I don't know how well that goes.
That's
over.
an interesting choice.
Yeah.
They have one Korean in that whole group, and we're making the K-pop group? Okay, sure. Like, I think that this is a J-pop group. They just are a J-pop group, and they...
And I feel like debuting them as a J-pop group was the correct choice, considering they had all these leftover members from Island, and a lot of them were Japanese to begin with.
Yes.
And I think Hybe has probably wanted to take advantage of, like, the K-J-pop market now anyway, so I feel like that's
there are people in Japan that know about BTS who probably are aware of Hybe, and I think there's, like, a sizable base of people there who would be willing to listen to something from
TXT and Hype are decently popular in Japan.
Yeah.
I think any K-pop group is
so why not create a group that's going to cater to that market, but also
not directly to that
potential
market.
Though for people outside of
they could debut in Korea.
Yeah.
K-pop groups debut in Japan. I'm still hoping for that JO1 K-pop debut.
Yeah,
I think also has the option to potentially be popular overseas.
And Team 100%
can do it.
Yeah, I think BZU is planning too, so that's already
I think COVID fucked up all those plans, because I feel like a lot of those groups planned to do that and then just couldn't go to Korea for years.
Oh yeah. And that was unfortunate for them, but...
Yeah, but I do think a lot of these groups can do that cross-promotion.
Well, now with XG kind of getting popular, I wouldn't be surprised if some people might look into that and be like, maybe we should.
But XG is just a K-pop group, though.
Well,
XG
but they are doing it in English, but still, some of them might be like, maybe we should promote on these Korean TV shows a little bit. The performance shows.
JO1's been doing that since debut.
No, yeah, but I think more might be looking into doing that. That was what I'm saying, because for that reason. To be like, oh, maybe it's worth it to kind of just hop over here. Not just for Korea's sake.
Right.
But for the international sake.
Right.
All right,
Maria, do you have one?
Oof.
There's so many.
Let's see, that's a good thing. That's the thing, too. There's a lot, but it's a matter of which one do I want to do. Oh, how about this one? Because this one's a little bit timely now, considering when we're recording this, it's only like a day or two after he released his single. Not his EP yet, but a single. This one is Jimin's vocals aren't what they used to be, and it's Hybe's fault. And so the summation of this is that this person is saying that they believe that they love his visuals as a dancer and stuff like that, and thought that his voice was great, and then like looking into it, it's kind of just like they're kind of thinking that it's Hybe's fault that his voice has kind of changed over time, and
they think it's Hybe's fault for age.
Yes, I guess. And
they think
they're also saying that Hybe should have apparently trained Jimin longer.
This person at this point believes that Hybe should have stopped Jimin from aging.
Apparently thinking that Jimin should have trained longer and pushed back BTS's debut date. And that, it's like, Jimin wasn't confident enough in his stuff, and he should have tried harder, and, they should have given more time to train and push back the debut to BTS and blah, blah, blah.
Again, my favorite thing in all of this is that they liked his voice back in those eras when he was apparently not trained.
Yes, apparently.
But now it's bad. Okay.
It's interesting,
I don't know what this person's trying to say.
I don't know.
Is my question. Like, my thing is, like, if he only trained for 8 months, why did you like his untrained voice? Not his voice 7 years later.
There's people also talking about. Keep in mind, this post is from a year ago. So
yeah,
this is
but
like
also I want to point
kind of
out something that doesn't make sense a lot of times to me with people being like, well, they didn't train, that's why their voice sounds like this. I'm like, you think these people stop getting vocal lessons and stop doing any kind of vocal training the minute they debut? You think that is only a pre-debut thing? You think these people just say fuck it to their voice afterwards?
No, they like continuously
is my
work
question
on the voice,
like, do they
typically.
not like you realize that by this point it's not just that he had 8 months. He had 8 months plus the 7 years since that's like essentially this year 10 years since BTS's debut. That's like 10 years and 8 months.
Outside of this like weird
you
paragraph
can dislike
they put in
the
here.
way that but here's the thing. I think a lot of people do things very distinctly in that you can dislike the way he is singing, you can dislike the vocal tones, you can dislike a lot of things. That does not mean that he is an untrained singer, and that does not mean that he's a bad singer. Because I think that a lot of people sound really weird when they sing, and that is of choice, not something that's because they're untrained,
or the company's pushing them to go,
or the company's pushing them in a different direction, or whatever.
Right.
But I'm just saying that, like, realistically speaking, like, it's not that his vocals are bad. It's that his vocals are not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I will say this,
you can dislike
though.
someone
Me and Kayla,
without saying that.
I don't think me and Kayla necessarily love his recent vocals.
It
on
sounds
his
No, I don't think his
song.
recent vocals are that
It
good.
sounds
A
No.
lot of auto-tune.
But I
Holy
don't
cow,
think
the
that he's a
auto-tune in
bad.
that song.
But I don't think he's a bad.
I don't think he's bad. I think it was piss poor choices for that song.
It was
I
the
think. I also
creative
think that's more of a
decisions
production
were
choice.
bad.
That's a creative decision. That's not that he can't sing it. I think he perfectly well could sing it, but I do think that was a artistic choice.
Yeah. And
Way too much auto-tune.
Bad creative choice, I think.
It was a creative choice, but you can dislike creative choices without saying, this person actually sucks at a singer.
Yeah.
You don't know someone I also don't like the way they sound? I think Rose counts kind of bad.
I was about to say, I thought you were going to say
I don't
Rose.
like Rose.
I think some people
I don't
feel
like
the
her
same
singing
way.
choices. I think she's a good singer. I
Right.
think she can sing. I don't like the creative choices that they do to her voices.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
feel like they push her in
fine.
a certain way
They
to
push
sing.
They push her to do indie voice.
Yeah.
They push her to
Yeah,
do indie
yeah.
voice.
and it's going to
I
fuck up
don't
her
like
voice
it.
more if they keep doing that. That's the
But also, I
problem.
don't know if it's going to fuck up her voice, because you can train yourself to do indie voice. I think
guess.
her voice will be fine. I just think her voice just doesn't sound like a voice I want to listen to. Doesn't mean she's a bad singer.
Right.
Because honestly, for her to be able to sustain indie voice for the last 7 years,
It's
her
impressive.
voice has to have, like, she has to have pretty decent training to be able to sustain a voice like that for 7 years. But I don't like it. And that's fine.
Yeah, Jimin. My concern with Jimin at this point is if he's able to actually sing live during these performances. I'm not quite sure, especially with the latest auto-tune edification, which is basically a production choice on the song, if that's going to affect that a lot. I have a sinking feeling it might potentially, but then again, maybe for that song that he's going to promote, you know, maybe it's more so he's going to focus on the performance and not so much the singing for that track. But also, like, you also want to sound good live, and it's one of those things that you need to have heavy auto-tune in the studio version to do it. I kind of have questionable.
Truly do think that here's the thing. There is a difference between having heavy auto-tune as a production choice and a stylistic issue and being able to, and not being able to sing it at all. I do think that he is able to sing those notes perfectly fine. They don't sound like they're out of his range. They sound like notes he's hit in other BTS songs before. I do think that is specifically being added to the track as a choice.
Right.
Similar to how, surprisingly, remember T-Pain?
Oh.
Very good singer.
But that's also,
actually a very good singer.
But I felt like
All
his
a
use of
choice.
auto-tune was pretty
All a
good,
choice.
though. Like,
All a choice.
another
though.
one is Chunmo. Chunmo's a rapper in Korea who's fairly popular. He, I think, uses auto-tune tastefully. he doesn't rely on it all the time, but when he does use it, it's in a way that makes sense and doesn't make it
but also I do think we all have to remember one thing. If you can hear auto-tune, that's because they want you to.
Yeah.
Because every studio recording is full of auto-tune. If you can tell it's auto-tuned, that's because they want you to.
Mm-hmm.
Because every piece of studio recording is auto-tuned.
Oh, I imagine everything these days has a touch of auto-tune,
is
but
auto-tuned.
some is more
no matter
obvious
what.
than other, you know?
That's because it's a choice. If you can hear it, it's because any decent sound engineer can hide it fine. They can make it sound like you're just hitting that note with your natural voice. If you can hear it, it's a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it for me on that one. Who's next?
All right, so might as well talk about this now because we talked about the AND team of it all.
Oh god, this one's sad.
So this one says Island is the best survival show despite its ambiguous ethics.
I like the phrase ambiguous ethics.
Yeah. So, essentially, I would also like to point that, and they do say directly, it has come to my attention that Ed Hypen were deeply traumatized by the structure of this show. Yes, they were.
This show is
was
cruel.
A wildly traumatizing show.
This show being done in the middle of COVID did not help its traumatizing nature, considering that it became so little people in a very, very isolated situation.
And I'm just gonna take
You were watching essentially a pod.
It is.
These people were each other's pods.
Mm-hmm. It was honestly one of the worst survival shows I've ever watched because it was just depressing. Like, everything about it was depressing and sad, and they looked like they were having a terrible time.
We have, I think, 10 hours on Island on this channel.
I also just want to read some quotes from this post because I feel like it adds to it. One of these is that the show itself was a way to quickly improve the trainees' abilities, as all survival shows are, but what's special about it is its quite honestly sadistic structure.
It is very sadistic.
And then it goes on to call the show genius. I can't help but appreciate the insane entertainment value this structure offered. The small cast of trainees only heightened the drama.
Look, if you're out here looking for drama, if you're out here looking for sadness, if you're out here looking for trying to break the human spirit, Island.
Like, I question too why they were so harsh on them, especially when you compare to like and Audition. It's kind of just like
the thing with I truly think that I think that the actual feedback given on these shows, I think the problem was how small the cast was. Yeah. Because there was only so many people they could spread. Everybody kept getting harsh criticism because there was no one else to give harsh criticism to.
Yeah.
It was the same people over and over. They couldn't cut to different people. Because I think the amount of because we're watching Boys Planet right now. There's some harsh criticism on that show. And the thing is, it can be spread out amongst people because there's 90-something people, 60-something people.
That show, quite
there's
honestly.
A lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
When there's only like 20 of you and only 12 of you actually are going to get airtime?
Yeah.
Guess what? Those same 12 people are going to get that harsh. I think there's too few people for the style of show they were doing because it was a very produce style show.
Yep.
2, those kids were too isolated.
Yep.
Because it was COVID, so they had no help. There was no one in there to help them. And I think that was the main problem of that show. It was bad timing. And also the fact that, like, it was essentially a Lord of the Flies. It was like Big Brother.
Oh, yeah.
You left them there alone.
What I do like about this show is the fact that the voting did not matter because they wrote a structure into the show, so the production actually ended up mostly creating the group. That is the only good thing I can say I enjoyed about the structure of the show. I think this is one of the most traumatic, like, environments you can put a group of trainees into.
Honestly, if you want to watch a show that has that same structure, because for the most part in And Audition, it was very different. Like, no one got eliminated in And Audition until the finale when they created the group. Everything was just challenges of teamwork, which is good. Keep the teamwork aspect. And then proceeded to just be mostly production with a little bit of voting.
Right.
They made the structure of that be, like, even on the finale, they were like, and I believe it was only about 20% of the votes came from people.
I think it was something like that, yeah.
Something around it. It might have been a third, if I could remember correctly, but it was like a large percentage majority came from production standpoint, which is good because those people know those people. And as we're looking at Boys Planet and that show,
yep.
I fear for my life.
I know. I do. I truly do.
I fear for my own sanity. Honestly, I think the show was too cruel.
It is, and it's like clearly, as like members of Hybe said, that intro song traumatizes them. Like, this is clearly a very, like, I don't
think bad the fucking intro song fucks you up.
Yeah,
like,
the intention of the show, I don't think, was to make it this traumatic, but I also think that being in a global pandemic added to the trauma.
I don't think the global pandemic helps. Yeah. I do think that it was very much trying to do a show that was probably because that show does give a little bit of produce vibes because it is CJE and I do think that's a structure of a show that works when you have a lot of people. When you make it so intimate, it's like if Produce started with only the top 24 contestants.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, and then they had to do the 10 episodes with 24 people. Like, it's like if you did Win or Mix and Match, but the style of Produce 101.
Right, right.
And also made it Big Brother because no one could leave or enter the house.
I know.
Well, because it was COVID and
because it was COVID, so like nobody could come in or out. They were alone. They couldn't have dance instructors. They couldn't really have that many mentors in the room. Like,
no, that's the craziest part that they had to figure it all out.
The worst part was that they were learning dances on iPads and teaching it to each other, which does not help their psyche. And also, a couple of them are like 14.
And that's the thing, is that they were just completely isolated, left to their own devices, given little to no contact with anyone other than themselves.
Little to no sleep.
And it's just, like, I can't imagine being a trainee and then automatically just thrust into that environment. It does seem, like, very traumatic.
Yeah.
I am curious how Island 2 is going to go about, considering it's supposed to be women.
I mean, I think the thing with Island 2 is that you can't do that to women, at least in the sexist circles that is happening. It's like with Chwang 2019 and Chwang 2020.
Yeah.
One of them got a military dorm and the other one got a princess castle. The sexism is strong in these shows. Like, you cannot do what you do to these boys to those girls. For example, you're never going to get a Wild Idol, but with girls.
Yeah.
That wouldn't happen. You can't do what you do to those boys to those girls. It would be considered cruel. Even though if somehow it's not considered cruel when you do it to a 14-year-old boy.
But, because remember, the army's worse, children. Probably. It's probably that, because it's like, well, you have to go into the army at some point, so be prepared.
It's also just pure sexism. The girls can't handle it.
Oh, that too. It's probably a factor of that too. I feel like it's a combination of both and the sexism.
I think it's the sexism, but like, honestly speaking, I do think that those they have to I wouldn't be surprised if Island 2 is a complete restructure.
Yeah.
Also, because of the fact we're getting out of COVID,
or at the very least, those girls are at the very least going to get mentors.
Right.
They probably
will. Those boys did not get mentors.
Those probably
boys did not get them.
Yeah.
Those boys got Rain and Zico for a half hour.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And nothing else.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's a bad idea. That show was an interesting time to all.
Alright, next one.
What do I want to... This one's interesting. I would like to talk about the one that is Lee Seraphim is carrying their music, while New Jeans' music is carrying them.
Oh, yes, this one.
So essentially, this person is essentially just saying that Lee Seraphim has overall discography is kind of lacking, but their stage presence is amazing and their performances are so good that it makes up for it. Wherein New Jeans' music is amazing and enjoyable, but they don't have the kind of stage presence that their stage presence is slightly lacking.
You know what? I can see it.
It's an interesting take. I can see where it's coming from. I can see what's going on with it, because I do think that I don't know if it's because Lee Seraphim just also has far more experienced people.
That too,
because
as well.
between like your like everyone in that group,
they had two people from a very successful
two people from Eyes
girl
One
group. One of them was on Produce 48. They got Kazuha from like a ballet school, like.
Yeah, all of these people, except maybe Unche,
Right.
are, like, experienced people. They've done this before. Like, this is just a continuation of their career.
Right.
Where opposed New Jeans are
Well,
new.
I mean...
They're brand new.
Kazuha, though, hers is, like, performance of a different type of...
But still,
performing
having a stage presence... Yeah, but that's still stage presence. That's still,
but it's different,
that is
still. It's not the same kind of
but
thing
that is,
as
But
Idol.
that is something that the girls from New Jeans don't come with. Even that.
True. I mean...
I can see it. I can see where this person is coming from. I'm not saying New Jeans has no stage presence. That's not true. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I am saying that I can see where that a lot of New Jeans comes from the fact that they have great music.
They do.
Their music is so well
250
produced.
and freaking Frank has made some really solid music for them so far. So like, especially 250, he's had a fucking year. His own solo album won, I think, was it Artist of the not Artist of the Year? What am I saying? Electronic Album of the Year. Was it the most prestigious Korean music award show? Like, yeah, he's had a pretty good year. He's no joke. He's a pretty talented individual. So like, yeah, I don't know if there is as much as... The other thing, too, I'm wondering is how much of a disparity between, you know, New Jeans music carrying them and the Seraphim carrying their music.
I honestly, here's the thing. I don't think that, well, this doesn't mean that Lee Seraphim's music is bad and that New Jeans stage presence is shit. That's not what any of that means.
No,
I do think that a lot of Lee Seraphim songs, and I do think a lot of their concept does come from their charisma.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they add to it a lot.
They add it, they elevate it.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know if that same type of charisma is necessarily needed or showcased within the New Jeans
Yeah, and I think
discography.
what has happened to New Jeans essentially immediately is that because
New
their
Jeans
music,
is very Girl Next Door.
Well,
which
because
is very
their
similar to,
music
like,
was
SES.
so different than everything going on in K-pop, people were immediately jumping on it. But it was the music that got people into it more so than it was members of New Jeans. Yeah.
Yes, and also just the apps. The thing is that the music is what's drawing people in, and there is not the same kind of charisma being showcased.
Yeah.
As opposed to within Lee Seraphim. Again, this does not mean that, like, you know, Lee Seraphim's music shit and New Jeans have no charisma. That's not what we're saying. I do think
it's definitely
The
different.
strengths of both
vibes.
groups.
Yeah.
The strengths of both groups lie within different fields. And neither of which are bad, both of which are very good. I don't think, for example, take like a song like replace the last two comebacks. Take OMG and take Anti-Fragile. I think if you swap them, they don't hit the same. They don't.
No. They feel like comebacks that like only those groups can do kind of vibes, which is how you kind of want it almost for groups for the most part, because you want it to feel like originally their song, not something that someone else can copy off of and just, you know, it feels unique to them. But yeah, they both have different strengths, and frankly, I get New Jeans in a weird way reminds me a lot of SES. Because of, like, that Girl Next Door vibe, and also maybe the fact, too, that their music is, like, a new, old-school kind of style and sound. But, like, there's definitely something with them that's giving kind of Girl Next Door vibe, which I think is similar in the initial appeal of, like, SES becoming super popular back in the day. And I feel like it kind of translates, too, into New Jeans, which is also funny, too, because... I don't know how long necessarily Minhee Jin did work at SM Entertainment. I don't know when she started there, but, like, she did work there for a long time. She probably picked up and learned a few things or two how to promote a girl group from SM Entertainment, and, you know, the comparison's not lost on me there.
Yeah.
So, but, like, the Seraphim, I think they also are bringing a type of charisma and unique style that, like, fits them well, but also stands out amongst their peers. Like, I don't know if you can really compare it to a lot of other people. Like, because it's not it's not like it's different from the sexy groups in the past. It's different from what their other peers are doing currently. It's like a good standout kind of deal. Mm-hmm. But yeah. All right. Is it my turn now, if I'm not mistaken?
It is.
All right. You know what? While we're on the New Jeans hype train, let's do another New Jeans one. New Jeans management is not as bad as people claim. So essentially, this one is kind of
people claim it's bad?
Apparently, people do claim it's bad. Allegedly. This was probably during, though, the height of the, the cookie lyrics and, Minhee Jean's a pedophile.
This is from...
allegedly height. But anyways, let's see. Even though I get the concern of them being mostly minors, the whole Minhee Jean issue, I've not seen that they were blatantly being sexualized. Let's see. I feel like they really do treat them differently and more cautiously because they are on the younger side. And to be fair, Haein, who was 14, is the only one who was shockingly young since the rest are 16, 17, 18. The person thinks it's an unpopular opinion because apparently they've seen a lot of people point out every time they can that they can't debut because they're minors or that they are badly managed. The person thinks that their concepts suit their age range and that they're in and that their clothes that they're wearing are not too different from clothes I've seen their nieces wear when they're that age. And yeah.
Oh no, nothing New Jeans has ever worn has made me question anything.
No, it's honestly
like teens.
They look like atypical
they look
teenagers.
Like average teens.
They look like teenagers. They look like
even
an
average teen.
They look like teenagers.
Also,
in the
I
States.
think we have multiple times spoken about our opinions on these new, weirdly conservative trend of minors can't debut in K-pop.
Which is so weird, especially coming from a bunch of Americans, too. Like,
look, I think I do think it works out with the weirdly conservative nature of a bunch of Gen Z kids.
Yes.
Gen Z kids are very weird. But generally speaking, I do think we've spoken about this multiple times where we're like, that doesn't make any sense.
Almost like you woke yourself out too much.
Every single one of your faves has debuted as a minor. If there is something inherently wrong with debuting as a minor...
Or if not a minor, just fresh off of becoming an adult, pretty much.
Here's the thing. Very few idols debut at 18 now.
True.
And as over 18
to be fair, and like, actually, hold up. I think you're so right, because technically legal adult in Korea is 19, so...
Yeah, as a, even if you take legal adult, like, 18-year-olds, not many idols debut after the, like, you don't even have to look at maknae ages. It takes you getting to a line in the group where you're dealing with an over 18-year-old.
Like, if you're debuting at, like,
a lot of people see this as a new concept.
If you're debuting at, like, 22, 23, you're, like, ancient in a K-pop group.
You're an old hag right there.
It's weird to think, too. It's, like, it's confusing to me, too, as well, because, like, hello, JYP debuted, even though they were short-lived, a set of 11-year-old twin boys as an act. Like, in the early 2000s. Boa was 13 when she debuted. Like, this isn't a new thing.
We looked up Boy Story last year, and they finally look like an average boy group, and that's been, like...
Boy Story has been around for however many years now, just actual children in a K-pop. And not a K-pop group, but in a
And now they finally all are teenagers now.
They finally look normal.
Yeah.
Boy Story debuted like 5 years ago, and it is only last year that they finally looked like a boy group.
Yep.
It's insane.
It is
insane. No, realistically, that's what our opinion. Also, two, you want to know what's weirder to me when minors debut in K-pop is when they are so infantilized as to be, like, a lot of people are like, oh, they're sexualized. What freaks me out more is that, one, no one's debuting a 14-year-old with a sexy concept. That gets called out immediately. What freaks me out is when they debut them with, like, little baby doll dress. They dress them like fucking dolls.
Right.
And that's weird to me, because that is
If anything, I think more creepy dudes infantilize kids more than super
I think that is almost, like, no one talks about that part, which is almost like a subgenre. Have you ever seen those, like, new goo girl groups that they're like, who disbanded?
Yeah.
Oh, they look like they look like baby dolls. What the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
And I don't want to be a part of that. That's weird to me. New Jeans look like don't drive by high schools, friends. Don't do it. But if you were to, like, just walk by a high school anywhere in any country, maybe not Korea because they are,
I would say for the States at least. The States.
In the States, these kids dress like this. Look at this is how kids dress now.
Yeah, like, and not even that. I feel like there's elements of their clothing that I remember kids wearing in high school that they probably, you could argue, maybe should or should not have worn, but, like, like this seemed appropriate age-wise for me, like what they're wearing. Yeah. It's like,
again, I think that
nothing
we've
too
talked
really
about the cookie situation multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
I think the cookie situation was a lapse in judgment. Mm-hmm. Do I think it was purposeful? No, that's the stupidest thing to do purposefully.
Yeah, I think it's the last thing any of them wanted to do purposefully.
I think the last thing any of them want to do is do that on purpose. That sounds like that's such a bad idea.
I mean, I don't think their management is bad. If anything, their management's doing a decent job trying to get them opportunities and being like a fucking spokesperson for all these different fucking fashion brands now. They're like marketing the fuck out of them. Hell, they have a fucking McDonald's deal now as of the time we're recording
this. Immediately.
Like literally.
Immediately. Good for them.
So soon. Like they're doing, if anything, they're doing really well trying to market this group. My only concern is that they don't force, these poor girls don't go into burnout super quickly because of this, but...
I don't know, because also I don't think that they're actually doing that much.
It seems like they are, though,
They're around all the time, but it's not like that McDonald's deal. They're not promoting that. It's just, they've been busy, but they aren't at, we're about to go on to, a full year-ish within a couple months?
Yeah.
I truly, most groups within that first year do, 3 comebacks, and that's average. By that time, they will maybe have done 3 comebacks. I do think that they're averaging out. I don't think they're doing inherently so much more than every other group. I just think that they're doing a very good job of keeping themselves in the public eye.
Yeah.
That's what I do think is actually going extremely well for them.
Right.
Oh yeah, they're doing fantastic at it.
Because you don't really need to be doing 15 comebacks a year. You just need to do things strategically at strategic intervals to keep yourself relevant.
Right.
And I do think Hybe does that extremely well for their groups, where they don't.
Hybe in particular has been sending their people to the fashion shows this year. I've noticed
the fashion. Hey, and all you gotta do is sit there.
Mm-hmm. I know. All you gotta dress fashionably,
dress nice, and sit there and watch
and talk to people. Try to market.
Honestly,
network,
truly
basically.
speaking, I have been seeing people being like, "This is the year that BTS becomes actual superstars," because currently that is just proving that 1, all BTS members are doing well solo.
Mm-hmm. Right.
2, surprising amount of men now know who BTS is and know individual members, which, can only do good things. I do think this is actually turning out to be a very good year for BTS wise.
Even though
the group
more just going to join the military.
Is gone. The group is not around.
Right.
But I do think overall, with marketing, with the fashion shows, with the very strategic, getting sign-offs from people of damn, you're working with this person, you're working with that person. I saw a lot of guys loving that new J-Hope song because of J. Cole.
Well, J. Cole, it's J. Cole. Fucking J. Cole's
J. Cole,
iconic,
but also how would this little K-pop boy get a sign-off from fucking J. Cole? And
exactly.
Because it's a good song. And it's a different, it's a very different vibe than the BTS
vibe. It is a vibe that J. Cole would do.
Actually,
this is a J. Cole vibe.
It is a vibe J. Cole would do, but who, in the eyes of your average man out here listening to hip-hop, who's out here going to start listening to the K-pop boy that their little sister likes? You know what I mean? It's that kind of
a lot don't, but...
And now you get thrown into the world that is the BTS solo stuff. So I do think that that's actually a very good... I do think they are very good at the new marketing method of keep your artists in the public eye by just allowing them to do look at it since the BTS hiatus, look at RM solo stuff, J-Hope solo stuff, Jin's solo stuff before he left, and now Jimin's. All of them are hitting different demographics.
And I'm willing to bet with his upcoming tour coming up, Suga's gonna probably drop a single or something.
Right.
A single or
at least
EP,
a single.
Probably.
I don't know if because Jimin is is coming out in a couple weeks, so I don't know if he has full time for the full rollout of an EP, but at least a single, at least something. We're getting something.
I mean, if Sugar releases something, he's not going to go on a music show for it. It's going to be at his concert,
No. But I'm saying that they're going to at least want to promote it and give people enough time to all the pre-orders and stuff to come in, if they're going to do an actual release for it physically. Mm-hmm. If it's not a mixtape, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But I do think that overall, I do think Hybe has a very good marketing strategy. And it also is very good because looking at the amount of artists Hybe has, we've talked about this recently about how companies juggle having a lot of artists. Mm-hmm. And usually it's badly.
Yeah.
They can't maintain juggling having this group and that. Someone seems to fall by the cracks. Not so much with Hybe. Everyone sort of seems to get the attention that they need. Obviously, some people get more attention, some people don't get as much, but everyone's, like, doing stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All right, next question, or next unpopular opinion.
Statement?
All right.
Yes. Next unpopular
next
opinion.
statement.
So I have this one. It says, there will never be a big four. It will always be a big three. Calling
I hate
it big
this
four is an insult to the legacy of the big three added to K-pop.
I hate it. Oh, God,
So
I hate
this is also, the entire argument for this stands on that, for some reason, this person believes that the big three is some type of revered term that is reserved for the three companies who had an impact on the K-pop industry and the history of K-pop and what's behind the companies, which is not true.
Well, that's the
all.
case.
Which
You
is
would
not
remove
true.
YG and add DSP.
DSP,
then.
yeah, and
by that logic.
This was just
By
the big three was just called the big three because they were the biggest three relevant companies in K-pop at the time.
and had
Exactly.
three of the
The term
most
was
successful types of groups underneath them.
Because I love, it's so insane. I like this person who had the metaphor is I hate people when they call people that's like saying that Apple's the pioneer of phones. It's like, no. Just because they're the biggest phone. Like, no.
They also make this
The big
point
three
saying
is
that
the
if you remove 17 or BTS, Hybe wouldn't be as popular to be a part of the big four, and someone says that if you remove French fries in the Big Mac, McDonald's wouldn't be nearly as popular as a top three fast food restaurant. Like, no shit. Like, that's not...
No shit!
Like, that's not the point
That
here.
doesn't make any sense. Remove Big Bang from YG, and then you're really not getting anything out of YG for a while. Like, yes,
that's
that doesn't
the point.
make any sense.
Oh my god.
Like, remove the biggest artist from a company, and that company becomes not as popular.
Like,
Also,
no shit.
to
No
say that
kidding.
the big three can never change essentially means that you're looking at DSP, SM, and I don't know which one came out first, like, being big. YG or JYP.
Probably.
Like, YG probably. It
Probably.
probably doesn't. I think JYP takes a little bit
I
longer.
think it beats them with Big Bang beats whatever was going on in JYP.
Was going on
yeah.
at
2 p.m.,
JYP at
yeah.
the time. I agree. I would say probably. It would be those three, and they would be unchanged forever.
And DSP is now owned by
And
WM.
look at DSP now.
Or RBW.
That's... Look how, but it's like, well, how fucking dare you remove DSP for JYP Entertainment? Yeah, sure, they have Wonder Girls, but how dare you disrespect Finkel like that?
Yeah.
How dare you? Finkel's been disbanded for fucking years. Well, how dare you disrespect their
Finkel,
memory?
by the way, for those who are newer, is where Lee Hyori comes from. That is her group that she debuted in, and subsequently became a very popular soloist in case you're wondering who
But
Finkel
still,
is.
it's
That's
like
why it's important.
this is just such a I know about 5 years of K-pop history and didn't go back any further. I'm like, yes, you did know about 5 years K-pop history. Doesn't mean you know anything.
I mean, they're still influential.
They're still influential
groups.
currently, but I'm saying that
The
to
big
not
three,
allow
the
it.
big three
No
was
one's
not
even
this
asking
term
for someone
that was created to honor these three founding companies of K-pop. Like,
Honor.
that's not what that term is about, even a little
That
bit.
term is an arbitrary term.
Yeah.
And two, I
If
just
anything,
want to
Korean
point out
media
that no
probably
one is
coined
even
it.
asking that anyone be removed from the big three,
No.
even though you could argue that some of them could be removed.
YG
They're
on the
they're just
borderline
saying that it
being
becomes
removed.
a big four.
Yeah.
They're saying we add a company to it. They're not even saying we should remove one because honestly speaking, I do think that
YG is on
if
thin
you're-
ice.
YG can go. Like, truly speaking, I do think that the big, like, as time goes on, especially, I do think the big three will change more.
Yeah, for sure.
As it should. K-pop should be an evolving company. These three companies should not be the only beacons of K-pop.
Oh no!
in
You
this
should
whole
always
industry.
have
No one
changing industries.
You should always have changing.
Maybe fucking, I don't know, Starship becomes part of the big four someday.
No,
Who gives a
absolutely not.
Well, maybe not right
when the
now, but
quality of
maybe
music
someday
that
they
it's
do. Are we gonna,
existence.
that could
No,
change.
the worst-
That could absolutely change.
Maybe RBW keeps growing.
Maybe RBW becomes bigger. Who knows?
I think it's an absolutely ridiculous statement to say that it is that this is a title bestowed upon you by, like,
It's like,
some
I'm sorry,
sort of
these three
K-pop
companies aren't
god.
fucking.
Like, no.
This isn't God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. Like, calm your tits, okay?
Amen.
Like, amen. Amen.
Like,
but like,
you know,
it's like this isn't like
Jesus.
this is a holy trinity here, people. These are companies come and go.
Yeah.
Some,
also,
although there are a few that do manage to last hundreds and hundreds of years. Look at Japan. Somehow they have a select handful of companies that still exist from fucking 500 years ago. But like, you know.
But here's the thing. I think that there's a lot of companies that can trace back some sort of like K-pop. Honestly, I think people forget how new of it is. Very rare for you to find an industry that you can pinpoint like a beginning year roughly.
Yes.
And like this ain't like calling somebody the king of pop music. Like pop, what is pop? What year did that begin? I don't know. You can at very least go back to like your 1960s, 50s, that kind of situation in terms of like pure pop music. K-pop starts in the 90s. You can probably get that to a more distinct year depending on where you started.
Some say it's 1992, some say Idol Groups as We Know It is 1996 with H.O.T.
Like there's at least within a 5-year range. Very rarely can you say, like, what year did jazz start? That's an analogous term. Who knows?
Yeah.
But like K-pop itself, you can start. That means that this industry is max 30.
Yep.
We're still in the infancy of this industry, if it even goes any farther. This is the first 30 years.
Yep.
It changes, it evolves, it's whatever. It is very rare that you are able to pinpoint the beginning of something as clearly.
Yeah, and if we go by Idol Groups as we know it, they're the same age as me, basically. Well, all three of us. But like, we're the exact same age as like the history of Korean Idol Groups as we know it.
That's an insane amount.
What is weird to think that ever since we've been born, this idea has been existed, which is crazy.
This is the beginning. And honestly, and like, it's a thing of like, currently at this time, we know mostly the history of this whole industry. We've done too much research into it.
God, yeah.
But it is not that much history to go through so far. And even within that, so much has changed. I can only imagine within the next 30 years how much will change.
Yep.
And I do think that to say that it is unchangeable, that the thing that happened
is a fallacy.
20 years, not even 20 years ago, I wouldn't even say that the big three are 20 years old. I would say 15 years.
Yeah.
The big three is probably titled within the last 15 years. If that. And honestly, I truly think that's a mistake if you want to say that is unchangeable because of that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. Next one.
All right, I'm looking for a spicy one.
I think there's a couple we could go for.
There's spicy ones. I want to try to do a group that we haven't hit yet.
Yeah, fair.
Because a lot of our spicy ones just go back in a circle.
Yeah, kind of.
Can I do the stupidest one we have on?
Yes, do it, please.
BTS should have played the 2022 American Super Bowl.
Yeah, like, what's that about?
What? I don't
mean.
It's so random. It really is.
There's really nothing on here. Just like they're the biggest musical act in the world. Da 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 da. Why? I was gonna say spicy. I just went with the stupidest one we have. What? Why? What would be the benefit to anybody? What would be the?
Why do we want BTS to play the biggest, specifically American sports event? Like,
yeah, and if that's the thing too that gets me. It's the NFL. It's not fucking FIFA. Like,
yeah, FIFA is different.
It is
than
so.
The NFL.
The Super Bowl is so just American.
Like, I remember when Shakira was announced with J-Lo, people were pissed.
Yeah,
and I'm like, she can also sing in English, right?
Wild.
Like,
people forget about whenever, I guess. But also, a lot of Latin people live in the States and listen to Shakira. I mean, listen to Shakira. Did I say Shakira? Wow, Shakira.
You called her Shakira.
Tequila. Oh, God.
Chiquita.
Tequila. Oh, God. I'm thinking of Hips Don't Lie right now. I'm thinking of Hips Don't Lie. Songs I probably should have listened to when I was like 7 or 8 years old.
Hey, I want to make sure we love Shakira on this podcast.
I love Shakira. She's great.
I love Shakira. She's amazing.
Honestly, kind of iconic how she revealed her ex was cheating on her because of fucking Jam being... Who knows?
Jam?
It's so random.
Hey. One of my favorite not K-pop songs of this year is her Pizza Rap Session.
Yes.
Favorite song of this year.
I mean, also she might be going through some tax issues though in Spain.
Everyone goes through tax
She might be going to jail.
Spain wants their taxes back.
Yeah.
She's not going to go to jail.
Hopefully not, but for her sake.
I'm going to say right now, for sure, not going to jail.
Probably not.
But realistically speaking, how we got onto the Shakira Super Bowl show.
Super Bowl.
J-Lo, a little bit of a disappointment on that show, just saying.
Yeah,
but
Shakira was better.
Would have loved it to just be Shakira. But it's a specifically American show. People get pissed if they think that a Canadian's gonna do it. Like, you think we're gonna get BTS?
Like, the patriotism really comes out.
And plus, they're choosing people who are relevant in the American music scene. Like, Rihanna did it, even though she's from Barbados, because her music, oh my god, was a huge, significant chunk of mine and a lot of other people's childhoods.
Also, a lot
like,
of
no
times
shit.
with the Super Bowl, it has to be a person that has, one, a long career. Like, people are out here doing, like, the Super Bowl is like a culmination of a career in many ways. It's like, you need to have had, like, album on album on album, hit on hit on hit for years.
Yeah.
At least 10 years, I would say.
Yep.
And then you do the Super Bowl. Even if it's, like, a bad Super Bowl, like, I don't know, Coldplay did the Super Bowl. Like, even if it's not something that's, like, the biggest artist in the world currently, they're not... It's gotta be at least something. You gotta have cultural significance over a couple of years.
Yeah.
Like Maroon 5 did the Super Bowl. I hate Maroon 5. They're kind of bad. But, you know, they've made hit on hit on hit.
Yeah.
BTS doing it would have just been a bad idea to everybody involved.
Yeah.
Also, I can only imagine the racism.
I can't even,
after that.
Horrible.
It would have been a bad idea for everybody involved.
And the truth be honest is, BTS don't have the overall American cultural significance
also, I don't
like
think
someone like
BTS
Rihanna
understands them. I don't think BTS maybe has never seen American football.
No, I doubt it.
I doubt it. I doubt
it.
that they're fans.
Yeah.
I truly don't think BTS, if I ask BTS, then again, I don't know the rules of American football and I'm American, but still.
I truly couldn't care less.
Considering the fact that I also call it American football every time I talk about it, also, I should not be talking about this sport.
I mean, football is used abroad.
I call it.
So
that's why I weirdly always call it American football, and I don't know why.
I just can't be bothered.
Considering I also use the term soccer, I don't know.
I can't be bothered with sports, to be honest.
I can't be bothered with sports.
I play two
for
sports
the most part, I understand
that are not American.
Here's the thing: I understand the rules of many sports. I do not understand the rules of football, and no one has ever been able to explain them to me in a way that
they're honestly very complicated. The rules of American football. I only know them because I got fucking tested on them in high school.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But yeah, no, this wasn't gonna be a possibility.
This was a weird take.
Like, on top of that, their schedules are busy. I doubt they're gonna make time to plan for a show for a game that they don't know.
Super Bowl.
Yeah,
they would have gotten booed so fucking bad.
I know. Can you? Because I can also imagine that people watching the Super Bowl are not. There's not a huge overlap.
Also,
with BTS
I want to point out
fans.
one thing. I want to read this one person's comment because I'm also like, oh shit, that would have been even worse. Because this was about the 2022 Super Bowl. This wasn't about the Super Bowl that just happened.
Yeah.
Because this was months ago. The 2022 Super Bowl takes place in Inglewood, a part of Los Angeles that is predominantly African American. So the artists that end up doing it were Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. Can you imagine if that community, after the one before that was in Atlanta and Maroon 5 did it, would have gotten the representation of BTS?
Yeah.
There have been fucking riots.
Oh, yeah.
Rightfully so, because that's an interesting take.
On top of that, music acts like Dre and Snoop Dogg do resonate with a lot of football players, too, frankly. Like,
resonate with a lot of more, they have more broad appeal.
Yeah, they have more broad appeal, but also like
the Super Bowl has to be truly the Super Bowl halftime show has to be the most broadly appealing show of the entire year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be the show everybody wants to see.
In theory.
It should. I'm talking about in terms of who they decide to use for it.
Oh yeah.
You need to try to hit as many demographics as possible.
Pretty much. So you can keep her around in the intermission break, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
watch more ads, which is the only reason football happens.
I mean, they also say the best ads for that time too, pretty much. Like it's Super Bowl's known for the crazy ads.
Which is why watch soccer. There are no ads. There are only like 15 minutes of ads, and then they never play another ad for the entire thing. You're out of there in an hour and a half. You're out of there in 2 hours. You have to sit. A football game takes like 4 hours.
They're too
It is
long.
kind
Or
of
they
cool though to
feel
watch.
like
I will
they're
say the
too
one
long.
thing on a side tangent, it's kind of cool to see the camera go across the field, zooming on the little wires. It takes me out of it. I remember it was like a preseason game I went to once in my area for a professional football NFL team. I don't want to say which one, so I don't dox myself, but it was kind of fun. I was mainly paying attention to the camera on top that zooms down the middle of the field and zooms back up. That was the thing that got
American football
me.
games have too many ads in them.
Yeah.
They play for 2 seconds and then have 3 ads. I'm bored. Moving on.
Moving
Kayla?
on.
No, I think it's Maria.
Oh, is it my
Or
turn?
Maria.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember.
Oh boy, what's a good one to do? I kind of want to do a spicy one. Oh, here we go. Okay. Constructive criticism is severely lacking within the K-pop community, in parentheses, an in-depth analysis of I does not equal doll by Hyujin. So, yeah, essentially this person's kind of making a summary, it seems like, of like, okay, I does not equal doll, you know, not being as great as it could have been kind of deal, even though the message is good, and that there probably should be more constructive criticism, even if this song that's creative is more personal to the person kind of deal. I think that's the best way I can summarize it. And that constructive criticism is not attacked, it is merely a learning opportunity that's being offered. Take a step back and examine the media you're consuming with a critical eye in mind. Is it a transformative and impactful piece of music, or is it merely tolerable? You know, kind of deal.
I think the people who have this type of opinion are not on the right side of the K-pop fandom.
Yes. I also do
because
think
it
that
exists for sure. It's just that when people think K-pop, they think immediately the stan culture of K-pop.
Yes.
And clearly it doesn't exist there. Like, that's true. Like, if you just go to the regular,
there are definitely,
like,
there's
level
sections of
K-pop
the community
fandom,
where it's kind of like
true.
toxic positivity, I would say, is the kind of deal.
Yes.
100%.
But also I do there's like 18 different layers to this, because there's the people, because then you also get into the K-pop community spaces where they're like, okay, but we're the place you can talk about anything, and then they just proceed to talk about how this idol's fat, ugly, and they suck.
Yeah.
Which is not constructive
also
criticism.
not the place.
So like you gotta find the correct like it's either toxic positivity, there's the toxic negativity.
Yeah.
There's the people that know what they're talking about. And then there's the people that shit on the people that like something.
Yeah.
So there's like 18 different sides to this question.
There is.
And you gotta find one pocket.
I guess for me, in terms of Hyujin, because that's mainly the focus of this question, I think it's one of those where it's like, I think people are praising this song a lot, and because of the honesty of it all. And I think, you know, Yoonjin did, you know, she drew the music video, she created all that music video entirely, which I think, I will say this, I think there's room for her for improvement, but this was a great first step for her, you know, like becoming a songwriter, working on music for her. You know, you could see that there are good attributes there, but I will not lie and say that she definitely has room for improvement, but I think she's going so far in a good direction, but there definitely could be things to be tightened up in her end of things. And I think criticism in terms of that for improvement for her would be fair, as with other idols who do decide to try to make their own music and such like that. If anything, some could have benefited from that more. There's a certain group I'm thinking about that we've gone in depth with a lot.
There's like 15 groups I'm thinking of that we've gone in depth with.
One in particular, our big claim to fame, I'm thinking
definitely.
about.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I like this song. I think it's fun, but I don't know anything about music and don't care to analyze music at that depth of a level, really.
Exactly.
Ever, so.
Yeah.
Again, I think that there is like, this person seems to be doing fine. I also think that there's a level of these constructive criticisms that almost makes people feel bad for liking music.
So
you shouldn't.
Get into that.
Which you shouldn't. Which you should not. I'm just talking specifically about, like, I think that there's a level of constructive criticism that I don't think it should ever get to the point where it's like, well, this song's dumb and you're dumb for liking it. Which is, again, we shit on songs every day.
Yeah.
We're about to record another episode.
We do make it clear.
We make it very clear that, like, if you like it, that's fine.
Yeah.
I do think that there is a level at which certain people are... It's like when an asshole's like, well, I'm brutally honest, and I'm like, yeah, and? Doesn't make you less of an asshole.
No. But I do think, though, for some reason, though, in the scheme of K-pop, for some reason, like, in other genres, I feel like constructive criticism is so normal.
It depends on what genre you're talking about, because also I think that
the stan culture
toxic
of
positivity is also probably the most normal thing currently. I think toxic positivity is like number one. I do think it depends.
Well,
I think
for K-pop, I think it's the most normal, but I think in other music genres, like...
Yes, there... Have you ever been on Twitter?
I've been on Twitter for certain groups.
Everything is fucking toxic. Like, anytime someone makes a negative comment, people get very butthurt about it. Because I also do think that it comes from there's a lot going on.
But like, what music genre though are you talking about? Are you talking just K-pop?
I think you're talking American pop music specifically. That's
K-pop I think I'm most exposed to, but also like I follow a bunch of people that talk about just regular like top 40 music stuff.
Yeah, that's also
pop music.
Yeah, pop music I can see it, but other things. Hip-hop is not
hip-hop that gets pop, but also hip-hop is top 40 now because everything's top 40 because it's the most popular thing out there. I think you're talking you're talking more because you're into it. You're talking I think some of the more like in-depth genre specific stuff. Anything that gets popular will become
anything that has a stan culture around it. The stan culture does not. The stan culture is what's doing it. And so anything that has a very intense stan culture around it, the toxic positivity is going to be there.
And the problem with the internet is that everything has a stan culture around it now.
Yeah.
No matter if the smallest little like indie movie to like marketing like Disney, everything has stan culture around it now.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot.
It do be a lot.
So I do think you just have to find your community of people. Mm-hmm. Like, I do think that there is place for constructive criticism. I do think that, like, sometimes people do need to pick and choose their battles.
Because
don't go into... Like, don't go into certain areas where like, pick and choose your battle sometimes.
Like, you sort of, like, with a lot of online K-pop communities, you kind of have to you have to scope out the vibe before you just start saying
you gotta scope out the vibe,
exactly.
and then if it's not the vibe that you're looking for, don't try to change it.
Yeah.
Because I've also seen people try to change vibes, and it's
that's a losing battle already. Like,
you're not gonna change the tide of that river, honey, with your paddle boat.
Right.
Like, it's not
in
working
terms
out
of criticizing like an idol though, like personally I would keep it to just like what their skill level as an idol or musician
is. Never criticize an idol for like things that they cannot control.
Personal attacks, then that's like that's
but also,
hard.
I do think that is
criticism.
Sometimes where that is also where it's where you get those things of people being like, well, I'm just brutally honest, and I'm like, yes, but it does not give you a right to just be an asshole.
No,
talking about how people are like dumb, ugly, like going into personal attacks on the person of like, that's not okay.
Which is also what Yujin does talk about in that song as well, criticizing.
Again,
a lot of that I think is an influence though from Korean culture as is, considering it's very I think in a lot of aspects when it comes to physical appearance, it comes off very vain. So like I can kind of see where she's also getting that from too. But also, a lot of times, another thing to keep in mind though is that when you
about idols on the internet does often go into well, they're annoying, they're this, they're that, they've had plastic surgery, they've done this, and I'm like,
sweetheart, everyone's had plastic surgery. Everyone's had plastic surgery.
But also, what is wrong with that?
Yeah.
Why is that so wrong for you? Why are you upset about that? Why does that make you like? Why is this argument devolved into us calling each other names? And also you calling these idol names. Why has happened?
No,
honestly,
and that's the main thing that Yujin is criticizing in her song.
The other problem I think a lot of times with constructive criticism is that people like to criticize, but also don't like to know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Because to constructively criticize something, you need to have at least a basis knowledge in it.
Uh-huh.
And I do think that is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least try to understand it.
It's like everyone, like, I don't know, recently you hear about, for example, I'm pulling this out of my ass because it's a recent topic, but the SPV bank stuff, you're hearing everyone now say their own opinions as to why SPV fucking collapsed as a bank and failed and blah, 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 when it's like, well, maybe we should talk to the economic experts about that.
Yeah, like, maybe we shouldn't just, like, start throwing stuff around when we have no knowledge, when you have no knowledge on the topic of that to begin with.
Yeah. SPV I'm talking about is Silicon Valley Bank, in case anyone's curious.
We're not getting into that.
We're not getting into that, but that's just an example of like,
Kayla, go.
Go, Kayla.
Let's not talk about economics.
Yeah, no.
We live in a capitalist hellscape.
We do. Yeah. It's terrible.
Yeah.
This one I like that says, it just says 17 has too many members.
That's the one I was looking at. That one's great.
It says, I love 17 now. They're one of my old groups, and they kind of have an overwhelming amount of members.
They kind of don't.
And it says they think they put some at a disadvantage for them. It took long to get to know them because there were too many people. And when they first started liking them, it was tough to form biases because they each have like 2 lines in a song. And they barely fit into pictures. Blah, blah, blah. I see the number of members as a strength now, but I know these sentiments are shared by a lot of my friends that get into K-pop. Again, also, disagree is winning. By quite a
disagree
bit.
Is winning. My thing with this is that this becomes your advantage disadvantage of having a large group, like the same disadvantage advantage you have from having a tiny group. You can say there's like similar advantages and disadvantages, like opposite advantage disadvantages from having like a tiny group like your Blackpinks and your TXTs.
Right.
Whereas 17 is able to do so much with their songs, with their choreos. They have like an immense amount of freedom to do essentially whatever they want musically and dancing. Because there's an overwhelming amount of people.
Yeah.
They can do formations. They can do music. Everyone's got a different voices.
I think that's the one of
as opposed to these tiny groups.
One of the
that
biggest
are standing in a line the whole
that
time.
I think big groups have is the choreography and the
absolutely,
like the incredibly more options they have with like interesting formations and everything like that.
True, it's a strength that they know how to utilize that.
And I do think 17 is one of those groups that knows how to utilize it.
Yes, I agree.
To almost a perfection degree. Like they have been able to do it so well. I think also I also think that the choice in vocals is a big 17 not so much because they do have their like standout vocalists, but realistically speaking, you have these different counts of people. Different people can get showcased in different songs, which gives you that like creative freedom of, well, if this person's voice doesn't fit as much, this person takes lead at that point, and it works out very well, as opposed to like tiny groups where the dancing is very limited to what you can do with like 3 or 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
And like vocally, you're sort of dealing with the same 4 or 5 people. Yes, you are able to learn these people faster, but in a weird way, if they don't, it's weird to say this, but if they don't appeal to you, that group gets written off.
Yeah.
There's 13 members, 17. You're gonna like somebody. And they're all a bunch of very different, but still a lot of weirdos. And I love 17. That's why I call them weirdos. Because they're weird.
I do agree that it took them a bit to find the balance of having that. But I mean, that's just like any group is going to take a while to figure out their group.
I also think that happens with tiny groups. I think you got to figure out how these people fit together. Because God only knows how long people have been. God only knows how long any of these groups have known each other. Whether they were like together for pre-debut for years and training together, or opposed to like coming together right at the end to make the groups. It depends. But I think once you hit the balance, I think I almost miss big groups. They're not a thing anymore.
Not really.
They're really not.
Like, at least there isn't really too many groups more than like 10 or 9, 8, I would say, or 8.
I would say now it averages out to 8 or 9 being a large group. There's very few.
There isn't anyone in double digits.
10 or more people.
Yeah, 10 is like, what is even the last?
Nine Eyes got 10 people.
Nine Eyes got 10 people, yeah, but I'm talking like popular big groups. Because I think Nugu will always make bigger groups. So like, how big's Gravity?
8, I think.
10? Oh shit, Gravity is 8. Damn. I'm trying to think of like the last like large, a lot of people
group that we had. The boys are pretty old at this point. Treasure is pretty big.
Treasure is
at 12. Well, Treasure is, I think, now 10 people.
Yeah, I think they're 10 people now.
Yeah. So yeah, I do think that overall
we can't even get it out of Boys
like
Planet anymore because the produce groups used to be 11 and now we're getting 9. So
if only it was 11. No, then we'd definitely get Hui. Never mind. Thank God it's 9.
I know. We've talked about that before, where it's like we hate that it's 9, but also very happy that it's helpful that it's 9.
It's helpful to us personally that it's 9. But no, realistically speaking, I do think that 17 is like of a dying breed. Yeah. No one's reaching 13. No one else that's like even close to 13.
It's also impressive too that they're able to still maintain.
That they're all still there
for now.
It's maintained for so long.
But we'll see how long that continues into the future. But
they seem very happy.
They do.
Which is shocking.
Maybe for them. I mean, honestly, maybe it's also Hybe just even after acquiring Pledis, is kind of being like, we'll give you more resources, we'll give you this, this, and that.
Well,
you guys keep doing what you're doing.
Look at 17. Nothing fundamentally has changed about 17 pre and post Hype acquisition. You barely notice it.
Yeah.
They've been making the same music they were before. Yeah, it sounds different, but every 17 song sounds different.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, it's not like they took out any writers. The writing is still being done by the same group of people that was doing it before. Everything's still the same. Because they're still technically under Pledis, which is a company within Hybe now. I don't know. I'm very happy for them. I'm happy it's all going well for them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have too many people, because I do think that that is just a, like, calculated decision. They got the advantages, but you take the disadvantages that come with, yeah, it takes longer to learn all these people. But, you know, once you do, it's like, damn, you're invested once you learn all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
What's another one we got?
What's another one? I think it's your turn, Sammy.
I'm interested in this one, because this one almost jumps off of our last one, which is 17 is the most well-rounded third-gen group.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because they're talking specifically about, like, that they have great dancers, great vocalists. The rapping works within the group itself.
Mm-hmm.
They do their own writing, and everything just sort of works within the discography. And I do think that is actually a very good benefit there.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with this person in that they're never saying that it's the best. Even though I do think with two of them, they have some of the best. I do think they have some of the best dancing and some of the best
I mean, I think
vocals.
it's easy to say that one of the best, but
I think the rap within the songs works extremely
Yeah,
well.
that's the thing, is they don't have good rappers, but they have rappers that work for what they do with their music.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's their biggest thing, but they've been able to balance that within their own
Yeah.
group. And they have a lot of rappers, because there's 13 of them.
yeah.
But I do think that that's actually...
I think it's pretty
They're
correct.
very well-rounded.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people are saying it's popular, so it seems like a lot of people agree
It is
that,
popular.
you know, not a bad group.
No, and no one's saying that they are a bad group, but I do think that they're I like the term well-rounded.
Yeah.
that's
In
the
that
thing.
I think personally, I do think that they excel vocally and dance-wise. I do think they're some of the best. They have some of the best vocalists probably within third gen, and I think their group choreographies are phenomenal. But I also think that's partially also the benefit of having 13 people.
True
you
that.
can do amazing things with dance with 13
Oh, yeah.
people.
Oh, yeah, you can.
That's having all the members plus backup dancers at any given time. And it also does allow you an added benefit that I don't think a lot of people realize, is that it does allow you to do even harder dances, because the person singing, it doesn't look weird if they're not moving.
Yeah.
Unlike in a tiny group where it's like you kind of have to tone down the dance if you also want them to sing it live.
Right.
As opposed to a bigger group where, like, sure. And also they don't get as tired. Because you can fragment them better. I do think they're very well-rounded. I like them. Also, they're very they were also mentioning that they do a lot of, like, well-rounded in the fact that they're also quite entertaining, that they also do a bunch of variety shows. And I'm like, yeah, no, they're fun. They're just they're an all-around group that's enjoyable to watch in all aspects.
Right.
Good for them.
Yes, they are. They're, like, some of the better ones to come out of third gen in terms of all-roundness, too. And, like, honestly, their come-up is so impressive.
I like
Most of them, honestly.
They saved that company from fucking bankruptcy.
They did.
They did.
They really did.
Now they're...
Because
now
Pledis
they-
was kind of a shit show around that time.
Pledis left Newest in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When 17 was debuting, because they did not have the money to bring them home.
And Newest said this too, correct? Like this
Newest had admitted this.
That's insane. That's like so embarrassing on Pledis'
They were just sort
part.
of left there for a little bit. It's fine.
Just like you guys
Look at that,
spent
then they
some time.
saved Newest, and then somehow Newest got saved.
I mean, they could have
Newest
left
got
them in a
saved
worse
of their own
country,
accord.
so
yes.
not the worst thing, I guess, Japan, but still. All right, another one. Let's see here. Gotta do a good one. All right, so let's start with Hybe makes terrible. The way Hybe makes music is terrible, and no, the problem isn't the voice filter. So
Good
apparently, this
lord.
person clearly does not care for Hybe music as much. This
but
is not
apparently
too long
doesn't
ago.
care for literally anything Hybe. Everything is shit.
Yeah, they mentioned about their music to be incredibly repetitive, to be incredibly repetitive bits, referencing Good Boy Gone Bad and Anti-Fragile and Hot, feeling so hot. And probably a reference to 17's Hot, I'm assuming.
That is just the chorus of 17's Hot, yes.
Like hot. Yeah. They're saying that the final choruses have nothing behind them, that it's always the same as the others. Let's see
want
here.
that YG ending
to them,
so they just yell at you.
It's very plain and generic, the songs. Saying that it's mostly about 17, the Seraphim, kind of BTS, TXT, kind of New Jeans, and Hyphen. Don't really know anything about Fromis9 or the other artists.
What other artist is she talking about? Zico?
I have no idea, I guess.
She kind of listed all of them.
And just for Fromis,
they also mentioned for more songs I think follow the same formula is Yet to Come, Permission to Dance, Darling, Paradox Invasion, Fearless, No Celestial, March, About You, Circles, Opening Sequence, and Thursday's Child.
Other than Circles, I want to point out that some of these are other than Circles and Permission to Dance, I love all of these songs.
Yeah, pretty much.
I would also like to say that I feel like the format this person is talking about is the format of songs in general.
Yeah.
Because also, I like this person saying, I dislike the way Hybe writes lyrics, I hate the producers making instrumentals, I hate how the songs are cut, I hate how... I'm like, so you hate music.
Yeah.
So you just don't like songs. I'm like, that's just what...
Because I feel like it also sounds like they specifically have a problem with song structure. And I'm like, there's only so much you can do with song structure.
I think this person's really into that Lapala song that doesn't have a second verse, because at least they switched it up, man. They switched it up.
The only other song I can think of that is weird is, like, Rocket Punch's Bim Bam Bum, where it has two separate choruses, and it, like, and then the two choruses are the ending chorus together. It's like a weird song format, but that's one of the only ones I can think of off the top of my mind
that do not follow.
That do not follow like a verse, chorus, bridge, end chorus.
Yeah, verse, chorus.
But also, this person doesn't like when songs have, I like that she's talking about how Hybe wrote these songs. All of these songs were written by different people.
That's also what I was about to bring up, because
all of their productions.
Because like Woozy writes clearly a lot of the 17 stuff, but I'm like, these are not the same people who write all these songs.
I don't think this person...
And, like, also repetitive songs in pop music, if anything. The biggest inspiration most of these people making these songs for these groups is from, like, American pop music and the pop music Swedish people made. Yep. Like, repetitiveness, it comes from the West, y'all.
I like people asking down here, just like, can you describe songs with the opposite problem? And they're like, DM and 0 times 1 equals love song. I'm like, those songs also have repetitive
choruses. I was like, DM... I can't think of anything about DM that makes it significantly different than any of these other songs.
And then someone's just like, are you kidding me? The repetitive chorus is a thing for all groups.
They're looking. I'm looking at these responses.
Like I'm sorry, but K-pop idol groups are not going to make unconventional songs for the most part. There's going to be some form of conventional, like, pop music attributes to them.
Yeah.
Like, unconventional music coming from indie artists here, okay?
What type of K-pop do you like? And no one's giving an answer.
Right.
And then someone just said, I disagree, the only problem with Hybe songs for me is the vocal effects. Which, like...
It's like, that I understand more.
Choice.
Like, that's, I think, a better
That makes more
argument.
sense. Like, that makes way more sense.
You can have an argument about that. But that also, that at that point becomes like a company... The amount of with the amount that it's being done seems like a specific stylistic choice for the company.
Yeah.
Not so much a, like... it's very odd. This seems... Because also, none of these songs are the same in any capacity. Like, she's talking about, like, pure pop to more of an R&B sound to, like a bit of a reggaeton. Like, what exactly makes these songs the same?
She hates it when you repeat one word in the chorus multiple times. It's like, I got that for sure is a problem, but it's like... None of it really makes a lot of sense.
And someone just said, you sneaked kind of BTS at the end without being able to name a reason like you did for the other groups.
Yeah. But those problems are literally what K-pop K-pop is, and kind of just what songs are generally. Unless you're into like very
also
experimental music.
I want to point out, again, I keep saying this, but all of these companies within Hybe, so Source and Pledis have free autonomy to make whatever music they want to make. And Adore. All of these people are making songs completely unaffiliated with each other. And they have said this before. They are fully autonomous companies.
Yeah.
So what about the... So
and I would throw KOZ in there too, kind of, at this point.
And KOZ, but I'm just saying, like, KOZ was not brought into this conversation specifically.
Fair enough.
I'm just saying, like, every company is in their own autonomous situation. So essentially, it's almost like you're comparing songs from different companies.
Pretty much.
Because it's different than something like SM, where SM has, like, in-house songwriters who make music for, like, every single group that's there. Like, that's...
Or through like, planning, really.
Yeah, but, like, this is different people making songs. And yes, there might be some producers but that just means that these people went out to the producers and are working with them in an individual... Like, it's not that Hybe is like, now you go do this song for 17. It's just sometimes people overlap because everything is, you know, if you're in the same building, talk.
I mean, they all do share the same buildings at this point.
Yeah,
so,
and it's a massive-ass building.
Yeah. Big building. But yeah, on to the next one, I guess.
Alright, so...
On to the next one.
The next one is... I think it's too early to declare that Hybe surpassed SM as the top K-pop agency. And this was clearly written before.
This was
the SM,
this is
the Hybe acquisition of SM, or attempted acquisition.
And then the non-acquisition of Hybe and SM.
Acquisition of SM.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
Again, I think that overall, it might be a little too early to say that it is, like, officially Hybe is number one.
Yeah.
I think that there is still a point where it is, like...
Hybe, I think,
not
still needs to prove themselves,
I wouldn't
really
say ambiguous.
Yeah.
I think we're up there where they're, at this moment, probably on par with each other. I think what is sort of helping Hybe now is, like, this year has sort of helped Hybe immensely in that, it has sort of proven everybody wrong in terms of what they thought was going to happen to Hybe, and proven everybody right with, SM's downfall.
Yeah.
Because, like, I remember last year everybody was really concerned about, well, BTS is gone, the downfall of Hybe is imminent. And I'm like, well, we're here. BTS is probably more active than ever. Somehow. And here we are with them continuing to be excessively popular.
They have
and then you get the new genes of it all.
multiple massive hit new groups now.
Multiple. And then you have whatever the fuck's going on with the embarrassment of SM.
Right.
Yeah.
Which even, sure, taking out the fact of SM's acquisition and how that puts them in terms of, like, their standing in terms of power, their statements at the very least are embarrassing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I can see this from, like, a legacy standpoint, because SM has existed much longer and has, like, been a very important part of, like, the founding of K-pop.
Yes.
But, like, sales-wise, with Hybe and Big Hit being so much younger of a company, but still being massively successful and on par revenue-wise now with SM is very impressive.
If anything, higher revenue than SM, potentially.
Yeah.
I also don't like how in the middle of this post, they talk about how, they make a really, like, a slight at the BTS fandom, and say how the fandom is annoying, which I'd like to say the SM stands equally, if not more annoying, than the BTS fandom.
Yeah.
Potentially.
I mean, I would say the SM stands are more annoying in that...
They're standing a company.
For one reason only. They're standing a corporation. Yeah. BTS stands are standing BTS. That's a group of people. If you're
there probably are Hybe stands that are standing
There are Hybe
stands,
sure. We facetiously call ourselves the Hybe whores. But that's because we're being...
But also we're not completely...
We're almost making fun of those people.
Yeah, we're being it as a tongue-in-cheek kind of way. We still criticize Hybe.
We're facetiously calling ourselves that.
We still criticize Hybe. Like, you know, we're not that ignorant, you know, to potential problems there.
But I do just think that this is... Again, so much of Hybe, of the arguments against Hybe being... One, the legacy argument is good. The legacy... Good? Not... Is there good... But the legacy argument is an argument you can use. The legacy argument is an argument that makes sense.
Yeah, because
the argument
it's
that,
true.
BTS is popular right now and they have annoying fans, that doesn't help your argument. That's not an argument you need to... Like, that's one of the arguments that for somehow always gets brought up.
It detracts from the argument for sure.
And it detracts from the argument you have, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and also, I think Hybe would agree too that Hybe's biggest problem at this point is maintaining themselves over a long term.
But you can't. But here's the thing with a legacy.
Yeah.
There's only so much they can do to fix that. Like, you can't. It just is.
I think Hybe knows too. Hybe knows that they have to prove themselves over a set year time as a conglomeration to get to that point.
There's no such thing as like, because like, sure, you can do that, but also at the end here. They say that Isuman's selling shares of... Oh, God. They... Read the last paragraph here.
Let me see.
I think BTS...
imminent selling of his shares in SM.
Selling of shares in SM is either going to CJ, E&M, or Kakao. That serves a response to what Hybe is doing for the past 3 years. That is... I know.
This is great.
I know. I think Hybe still needs to improve their business model, which they claim to be similar to a tech company to prove Korean fans, international fans, critics, and GP that it can outdo any K-pop industry, especially in SM, since their recent acquisition also makes an impression that they are monopolizing the K-pop industry. What the fuck?
Yeah.
What is this future soothsaying?
Look at that.
Wow.
Look at that. The writing was on the wall.
Literally like a full year.
A year ago.
Like a year ago, this got put on the
Amazing.
Internet.
But also, like, I feel like that's... I mean, to be fair, legacy-wise, yeah, Hybe still has to prove themselves to the corporation.
Here's the thing,
they need time. You need time.
And you need time to make a legacy. You can't make a legacy from one day
and Hybe's aware of that, which I think Hybe is trying
to
work towards that.
I'm interested to see the future of both companies, because that's where the truth unfolds, because, again, we talked about in the last episode, there's a lot of companies that have legacy. Like, by that logic, DSP has legacy.
Yeah.
But not current. So
like, up until, like, maybe Rainbow, DSP has legacy, but otherwise, after that, it kind of falls out.
It takes a decline very fast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, honestly. I don't know how many years, though, it would make sense to wait.
How long it takes... I mean, here's the thing.
10 years? Less than that?
The legacy argument, we talked about it before. K-pop's 30 years old. There's only so much legacy you can even have. Like, it's not... It doesn't take that long to make a similar legacy to SM because it's a very new industry. Yeah. It only takes maybe 10 years? Maybe?
Maybe.
Because
like, would it be 10 years in this case, or would it be, like, even 5?
Hybe is already, like, 8 years... Not 8 years old, but, like, because they're already at least 10 years old. And, like, over time, the legacy grows. So, like, it's not that they're, you know... It doesn't
Hybe technically only was founded in 2021. So, like, I mean, Big Hit's had...
Hybe, but, like, you want to take it back to
probably.
Big Hit.
Big Hit, Pledis a little bit, like...
I think if you're looking at the history of Hybe, you start with I think it ties directly into the history of Big Hit. I don't think you can take the legacy of Pledis and add it to the legacy of Hybe, because I don't think that works out, because then that means you gotta add an after school, and I don't think that works out.
Yeah, probably not.
By that logic. You can't take the success of after school and put it on Hybe. But I do think the success of BTS goes on to Hybe.
I also want to say that the addition of Kwangya as an argument for SM is a big detracting point for me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the minute you bring up Kwangya,
I don't like you've lost
me.
The
legacy's diminished a bit. I think it ruins the legacy a little bit. Because at that point, that just proves desperation. And I think desperation diminishes your argument. Alright, you want to end up on the last one?
Last one.
Which is the opposite of the last argument, the argument before this one, which is Hybe. To be specific, BTS, TXT, and Hype and Lee Seraphim has the best music for groups out of the big four. Disclaimer, they didn't mention 17 or Promise because they're not familiar, and also this was 9 months ago, so before
New Jeans existed, yeah.
So I think you can probably add New Jeans.
They probably would.
They probably would.
Not to speak for this person.
Also, at the end, they say, yes, I am a Hybe stan in all caps, so there you go.
Yes, they are. Also, a lot of this is a bunch with top-tier B-sides having, like, cohesive albums. They like the they like everything the other person hated. which is fine.
You know.
It's a preference thing.
It's all a preference thing.
I mean, most of these companies, they all do kind of different production styles, and it all kind of mostly comes down to preference. I think you can
always, maybe not so much with JYP because all their artists are weirdly different and weird, but everyone else kind of has a very company-wide sound, which is fine. And again, it's all, like everything in music, entirely based on your preferences. You can hate something I like, I can hate something you like. It's fine.
Kumbaya.
Kumbaya fucking ya.
I will say, I do think Hybe does have a lot of very cohesive albums.
Oh, they do.
They do.
I think Hybe is a company that is very, very clearly sets out what the concept is for that comeback, and makes sort of everything fit that concept, whether that be the actual comeback, and they don't just throw whatever B-sides they have in the vaults lying around.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a summarization that a lot of our preferences for groups and stuff kind of come down to taste of music.
Here's the other thing with B-sides.
Yeah.
TXT is one of our favorite B-sides for 3 years.
Yeah. So it just makes solid B-sides, in my opinion.
They're very good B-sides. They have amazing B-sides. Yep. Phenomenal B-sides for TXT. But also, I think all the groups very clear, know their strengths, play to those strengths, and go and do very good very catchy B-sides too.
Yes.
The B-sides don't sound like throwaways, which is a thing that I think a lot of companies struggle with.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because Hybe has...
I mean, it could be because Hybe has more money, but, like...
It could be, but I also feel like, because a lot of people in Hybe groups are involved in, like, song production, I feel like having the group's actual opinions on how, like, helps to make the albums more cohesive.
I also do think that, like, in not so much, I'm talking, like, money, not so much with the big three, but with, like, smaller companies. Sometimes you don't got money for, like, the big songs, for the great songs. And it is just an interesting, way to look at it.
Yeah,
I mean... They're cohesive. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of planning, I feel, that goes into any Hybe comeback.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of planning.
Based on, like, these kind of documentaries, quote unquote, that they do for some of their groups, it's kind of like, yeah, there's a lot of thought behind a lot of this crap, you know? A lot of thought. But yeah.
Woo.
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 Woo. Yay. Unpopular.
Hybe
kind
opinions.
of popular.
Hybe
opinions.
Woohoo.
So many of these were unpopular, but in dumb ways.
Yeah.
No, BTS will not go to the Super Bowl.
No, Bumgi was not going to beat Cha Eunwoo.
And even the TXT ones I've seen previously, even though we didn't really talk about anything TXT related, like...
Other than that, Yeonjun is
gonna
not...
beat Cha Eunwoo.
Stop saying
that. A lot of it too, it's just, at the end of the day, once you put your thoughts on the internet, especially on something
on the internet, you're open to be talked about on any podcast.
Especially on a sub that's about unpopular K-pop opinions. Like, you put your thoughts in not just a post, but also in the comments.
Opinions. I think some of them are really dumb.
Yeah.
Also, most of them are made by trolls, but still.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of this is just meant to be kind of stupid in the first place. Like, it's music.
Again, we needed an easy episode. We needed an easy episode.
Yeah. So this was fun.
Woohoo.
Yay.
Nice fun time to kill sometime.
Nice.
Nice.
So we are available on all major podcasting platforms like Apple Podcast and Spotify. We also have a YouTube channel where we post all our episodes along with clip videos every week as well. And with that, we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.